We are no longer in the industrial age. We are in a new economy that's digital, global, intangible, more meaningful, and very entrepreneurial. Everything has changed, and so must you. That's one of my favorite quotes from Daniel Priestley's Key Person of Influence. And I think it really encapsulates the essence of the 21st century, at least from the business landscape. It seems that almost everybody is starting a business or failing to do so. And a business is probably one of the best vehicles for change and expressing your value to clients and earning a living online. More people than ever are earning a comfortable living online or through any sort of business by expressing their value, by selling their value in a way that has leverage and scale. It has never been easier to do what you love and get paid for doing it. To understand what is the best asset today, we need to understand how that definition of the best asset has changed over the last few thousand years. Now, the people that were the first movers at every point of these revolutions, they became insanely wealthy because they had that advantage, that unfair advantage of being one of the first people to adopt and to use this changed paradigm of how the world works. So 12,000 years ago was the agricultural revolution. Rather than hunting for berries and animals and foraging for berries and animals, you were able to cultivate them instead. You were able to grow them at much larger scales and save yourself time and energy that you could use for other things. So the people that had the most land and were able to produce the most crops and the most food became incredibly wealthy, because at that point in human history, no one has ever done that before. And that was the first step or the first revolution. At that point, land was the greatest asset. But then came the Industrial Revolution. And with the Industrial Revolution came factories. People didn't have to toil along in the farms. They could create things in factories instead. And the people who had the means of production, the people who owned the factories, who had enough capital to own these huge manufacturing buildings, became insanely wealthy because of having the asset of that factory. And more recently, after World War I and World War II, what became the most valuable asset? It was information. Information was what made the difference in the Allied offensive. If you have more information about your enemies, their positions, their plans, you could strategize and outmaneuver your enemies. And information became the greatest asset of the 20th century. But now we're in the 21st century. And the greatest asset now has changed. Sure, information is important, but what's really important from a business standpoint is you as a person. Because people aren't just looking for a brand, a faceless brand. They're looking for a person, a central person with their own story, with their own set of ideas and thoughts, and they want you. So if you're able to create a brand out of yourself, you have the greatest asset of the 21st century. Think about someone like Elon Musk. If he wants to start a business, just his name alone would get him plenty of customers, even if that business sounded so ridiculous and not even like a good decision. Your personal brand is what people think of you and what people say about you. It's a thing that people see when they search your name on Google. If someone searches your name on Google and they don't see anything, then you practically don't exist in the 21st century. Sure, it's great to be off the internet and to live a separate life, but why not leverage the internet? Think about what the internet actually is. It is a huge web and network which lets you share your ideas and share your content to millions of people. Over time, this video would probably reach a lot of people. At least I hope it's going to reach a lot of people, and my ideas will be spread across those many people that watch this. And I hope they will get value from this. And social media has become the new microphone. 100 years ago, you need thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of dollars to have the outreach that you have today. You have all of these technologies that can help you reach many people. If you wanted to start a business, your brand, what people think about you, then the ideas and the following that you've amassed would help push a business through the most difficult stages of establishment. You would gain a following, gain customers relatively quickly compared to somebody who hasn't got that. So if you're able to, I guess, turn yourself into a business because you're an expert in some area, and to be fair, anyone can turn themselves into a business. Anyone with some level of experience can take that experience and then bottle it up into some sort of service or product and then pass it on to people. Because you just have to think about what you needed a year ago, a month ago, maybe even 5 to 10 years ago. What kind of guidance did you need? What kind of products did you wish you had? And you can develop those things for other people. If you already are a business, then people have to know you for something unique. You need to be something different because almost every niche has been somewhat saturated. So if you come into, I guess, the market as yourself, you have a monopoly around that. No one can be you. So if you leverage your personality, leverage who you are, you can turn yourself into a business. You can grow a personal brand. And that personal brand is the greatest asset of the 21st century, who you are. People don't care about this company, that company. They care about people. If there was people behind a company, you actually care about that company so much more because you almost feel like you're connected to it in some way. You hear a story about, let's say, like Steve Jobs, someone starting Apple or someone starting some new company, and you're not really as focused on the business as you are focused on the people building it. You're more enticed and more attracted to the fact that there's a story behind it. And whenever there's a story behind something, you feel like purchasing it. If I just told you, let's say there's some like, I'm not sure, like let's say there's some like Japanese knife manufacturers. If somebody just said that these are just some Japanese knives, I'm probably not going to buy it. But if I say something about how the knives are created in a certain part of Japan that used to forge samurai swords, now we have a story behind it. Now we have something that we can kind of push forward. And that story can be something personal. That can be something that is to do with you specifically. It doesn't matter which niche you're into. It could be self-improvement, it could be business, it could be health. Anyone can, this is basically important for anybody to develop that personal brand. Because if you can gain an audience that's loyal and that actually likes to listen to you and actually likes what you have to say, then you have your first buyers. You know who you can provide the most value to. To get to this point, you need to do several things. One, you need to partner with other influential people. Two, you need to perfect your pitch. What are you actually pitching to the market? What are you trying to sell? And what value do people get from that pitch? Three, you have to build your profile. You have to have a published set of things that people can look at and kind of understand as your level of expertise, understand as what you are known for and what you're a thought leader in. Right now, the new factory is just your laptop, your phone, and the connection to the internet. And the supply, not the suppliers, but the people who are delivering your content to other people, that's just the algorithm, that's just the internet and everything that's created to push your story to the people that really want to hear it, to the audience that the algorithm thinks you want to have. And very few people have a bank of published content. Very few people actually publish books, write articles, make videos. So if you can set yourself apart and do these things, because it's hard to do things like that. And if you do the difficult things that other people aren't willing to do in your niche, then you will become so far ahead of those other people. You will be known for things. So rather than watching videos, actually make videos instead. Rather than reading books, write your own books, write your own articles, publish your own content, right? If you keep publishing content, people are more likely to think of you as an expert. And you become more of an expert by practicing publishing content. The more content you publish, the more clear your ideas will become. There are so many cases. If you look at anyone that you think is famous for as a writer or as someone in the self-improvement or business or finance space, they have been publishing content. Maybe at first almost no one was watching it. That's the case with most things. But you have to publish content. You have to make yourself a person of influence. And that can only be done by sharing what you know to the world. And don't be afraid of what people have to say. Like, if someone hates on you, they're just below you, because hate always comes from below. It never comes from above. If someone's better than you, they're going to encourage you to do better. The only people that hate or kind of badmouth you are people that are either insecure about themselves or they can't do what you do. So yeah, that's what I have to say about the greatest asset of the 21st century.